Let's just talk for a second about the policies. So we've mentioned about the policies, resource policies, for example. Um, if we look at the default policy here, we can see that there are limits set for particular regions. And you can add any sort of restrictions that you want. So if we change this to restricted, we can specify for an accelerator pool. We can specify, what is the value that is going to be set. Um, if we make this restricted, for example, we can configure a limit for the amount of GPU resources for that particular location. We can set limits on storage. We can set limits on memory, CPU, teraflops, and so on. Also, under the policies here, we have the instance types. These are the different. Let's just take a look here. These are the different sizes of instance that are going to get presented. So small, medium, large, for example. You can configure any of these under the objects option here. You'll see here the instance types. You can specify the sizes, the names that you want to use for that convention, and you can also decide whether to enable those sizes for VMs or for GPU accelerator pods as well, and those can be applied equally across any of those types. You can also, under objects, you can set different currencies. You can control the storage blocks. So these are the sizes of storage units that end users are allowed to subscribe to. And then you can also configure these services. So this is where we configure. Let's just go through a create service flow here. You give it a name, and then under the service details, you're going to select the type of environment that this service is going to apply to. So, as I mentioned, currently this is for VM types, and shortly this will be enabled also for GPUaaS types as well. But if we select this for an instance type, if we'd enabled recipes, they will pop up here under the list. So remember the recipes are the ones that are in the app library in the admin panel. So if we've selected some of these application types, they can then be configured here under the recipe option. You can enable that service. You can set a charge for it. You can lock it down to a specific instance type. So for example, we want end users to not be able to choose any, it's a pre-configured application, one-click application type. So we're going to lock it and we're going to make it invisible, so the end user can't even select it. And you can choose all of these options for the instance type, the storage block, the base image that you're going to install onto, and so on. You can choose the GPU card settings. You can specify what is compatible, what is not compatible. So if you want this application to deploy only on GPU resources of type H100, for example, you could configure all of those options here. You can control the networking access, the storage access, and so on. And then, you can also upload your own image that you want to appear next to the application type, and you can add your own searchable tags. So when the end user is subscribing to a resource, if you want them to be able to search for, medical applications or inferencing applications or something like that, you can create any sort of searchable tags that are appropriate.